Welcome to my fish room. Okay, so Aaron has the python started now. There's one of those Butterfuconi, whatever. It's been here probably 12 years. The silver dollar's probably 12 or more years. That big Synodontus. So I said it was in Paul McCreath. Yeah. It was in his tank, and then when he moved to Arizona. And then he's been back for a couple of years and gone again. He manages international properties, etc. So, now we're going to watch the excitement that is Aaron working. Aaron, try not to snort on camera. Okay, so what he does, he starts at this one end vacuuming the gravel.
Why is it so interesting?
Because you're doing it. You know how interested I am in having you do work? Aaron. So you can see how he puts the gravel cleaner down in there. And do you want to tell the story about your red light and the conclusion of it?
What?
Remember your red light incident?
No.
And the conclusion of it?
What red light incident?
Remember talking to the police officers, lady dancing on the sidewalk behind, then you went and asked the cop what the real story was based on what I had told you, and you found out that I perhaps exaggerated a wee bit?
Why is that coming up now?
Because the story's over now. See, I don't have to worry about you finding out what I said, because you already found out.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Okay, remember how the one day you phoned me up in a panic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over a year ago, actually.
It was over a year.
Yeah. And what had you been doing?
Racing around, pushing on traffic.
And why did you have to do it even though other people said they were going to help? They just weren't going to help. So anyhow, I get a panicked phone call from my boy. What are you looking for when you give me the panicked phone call, son?
The insurance. I thought that this was a fish tank cleaning video and all that.
Yeah, but...
Let's tell embarrassing stories about it.
You know now that they're going to want to hear it because you just said it's an embarrassing story about Aaron.
The video and you can start over again.
So, what's in it for me if we don't tell embarrassing stories about Aaron?
Are you sure there's already a deal where you're not allowed to?
No, there isn't.
Yeah, there is.
There's a deal where you're not allowed to focus on the back of my head, otherwise I tell that one very embarrassing story about Aaron. But there's no other deal for any other embarrassing story. I'm sure they'd like to hear them.
There was a misunderstanding, and I got tickets, and then Dad got rid of them. So what did you say? I don't remember.
There was a misunderstanding.
Yes, it was a misunderstanding because they lied to you.
You told me that you were halfway through the intersection.
Yes, I was. Then the light turned red.
And then you drove the rest of the way through the intersection.
I'm going to stop dead in the middle of the intersection just because it turned red?
You're supposed to back up.
I was already more than halfway through, and I'm going 60 on Kipling.
You were stopped, waiting for the traffic to clear.
Not.
They told me you were stopped, waiting for the traffic to clear. The traffic finally cleared, and then you went through the intersection.
That's not what happened at all.
Well, that's what they told me.
Yeah, and clearly you don't listen to anything I told you, because I've told you this story many times. I was going up Kipling. Somebody was trying to make a left-hand turn. The guy in front of me, well, this guy started to go. Even though there was a car coming, the guy in front of me slammed on his brakes. I went around him so I didn't hit him. And the light turned red when I was halfway through.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's almost like theirs, except their version had you stopped.
I didn't stop at all. I just kept going.
So then they pulled you over. So they were going to give you a ticket for what?
$800 and something. I don't know.
Yeah. For running the red light. And then did you have your
insurance issue? And then
My
because of
insurance
your
issue?
ownership issue.
You're the
Because
one that
I-
didn't have the current insurance slip.
Because you're the one who didn't put it in the truck. I've never dealt with any insurance. You always put it in the truck.
You had the previous insurance slip in your
No,
wallet.
I did not.
You had the previous insurance
No,
slip
I did
and the
not.
letter saying that you were on the insurance, and you showed them to the police officers. Yes, you
Those
did.
were not in my wallet. Those were in the dash of the truck because that's where you had put them.
No, I gave them to
Yeah.
you to hold on to. You put them on the dash of the truck.
You put them on the dash of the truck.
And then they had that issue with the ownership. So then,
Your issue, not mine.
well, no, it was his issue. There was no real issue.
Do I
So-
have to move anything?
Yeah, you have to basically, as you vacuum underneath everything, stack it on this end, wash the glass, and then when you get all the way to the other end, you start restacking it and moving this way again. How many times have you watched me do this one?
Never.
Yes, you have.
I never pay any attention.
Why don't you pay attention?
Why would I? You're boring.
I'm the most exciting father you got.
Yeah, by default.
Well, you're the most exciting son I got.
By default.
So anyhow, I get a phone call from my boy.
We've gone over this story like 6 times. Get on with what your point was.
No, we gotta...
You've already told the story at least 6 times.
When?
Just now.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, let
So
me
what was your
continue
point?
and you see.
What was your point?
You'll see. Let me continue. So I get a panicked phone call from my boy using somebody else's phone. And I asked him why he was using somebody else's phone, and he said, well, because he didn't want to get in trouble for using his phone while driving. And I says, but Aaron, you're parked on the side of the street. You can't get in trouble for using your phone while you're driving when you're parked. And if you can get in trouble using your phone while you're parked, using somebody else's phone isn't going to help. And so anyhow, my boy's looking for the ownership of the vehicle, which is inside a map book. But I had put it inside a piece of paper so we wouldn't lose it, and he of course didn't look inside the piece of paper. So then he had to go look for that piece of paper, because he just tossed it, of course, so when he's looking through the book. So I'm talking to his passenger for a few minutes, and then I ask, where are you guys? And apparently they're at the end of the street, right beside the street we live on. So 3 or 4 minute walk away from the house. So I, of course, go down there, and I got the current insurance slip and everything. So I go down there, and there's 2 police officers, and one police officer, he wants to see me hang too. Apparently he didn't appreciate the clutter in the truck. So I'm talking to him, and he's telling me that, okay, here's your insurance slip, but we already wrote the tickets. You got to go to court and deal with that. And he's telling me that, okay, red light, a lot of points, young driver. They were surprised to see a young man so young driving by himself, but I told him, yeah, well, Aaron went and got his beginners the day he turned 16, so he was eager. You went to get it the day you turned 16. You didn't succeed in getting it till the day after you turned 16, and why was that, son?
Can we go back to the original story?
You only read half the book because you asked your mother if you had to read the whole book? Well, you're the one that brought up that part. So my boy thought that they'd give him a whole book, but he only had to study half of it.
No, nobody gave me a book. You gave me a book.
I gave you the book.
Anyway, go on.
So, anyhow, I'm talking to the police officer. He ain't happy. Then this lady started dancing around on the sidewalk behind me, and she's apparently looking for her boyfriend who's wandering the streets. So they sent me around to talk to the other police officer, who is a good old boy. Okay, he has a teenage son. He understands. He feels my pain. So anyhow, talking to him, he says, okay, well, Mr. Hayden, I don't think we should give him the red light ticket because he'd never drive again, etc., because he made a mistake. He didn't do anything evil. He just made a mistake. Okay. And the insurance thing, you got the insurance ticker, so of course when you go in there, just take it to the first window and they'll take it back. But the ownership. Now, the ownership. You're supposed to have a sticker on the back of your ownership to indicate that you have the sticker on your license plate. Now, of course, we can see the license plate and it has the current year's sticker on it, but you do not have the sticker on the back of the ownership. And I says, well, the person at the ministry always puts that on. Well, yeah, they usually do, but not always. So then he turns it over and he looks at the front of it and he says, Mr. Hayden, when did you get this ownership? I says, well, last fall. I lost my wallet for a couple of weeks before somebody found it and gave it back to me, so I had to get new ownership. Well, apparently the first time you don't have to have the sticker on the back because it has the correct date on the front. So now we got a ticket they're not going to give them, we got a ticket that they're going to take back, and we got a ticket that was written in error. He says, okay, Mr. Hayden, let's go scare your boy. So we go walking up, and I'm not happy with my boy. He's a little nervous. He's sitting there with his passenger going, oh man, oh man, oh man. He wasn't crying, but, you know, he was concerned. So we talked to him for a bit, and we tell the boy that, okay, son, it's going to be on your record, this whole red light thing. If you get stopped going down the street, even just for looking moody, they'll pull you over and they'll drag the truck away.
Oh, so you knew that was a lie all along.
I came up with it. When the police officer asked me if I knew what you had did when I first got there, I says no, but it's something phenomenally stupid. My boy's a very good boy. I explained how he's in DECA, he's an honor student, he has a job, etc. Oh, I was pleading my boy's case big time. Oh no, you were working at Wonderland, remember?
Was I?
Yeah. So, honor student. I was quite proud of the honor student. Of course, the only reason he got to be an honor student is because he has to have the good student discount to get me to pay the insurance, because good student discount is $100 a month off. So he worked hard enough to get the good student discount, and he got on the honor roll. Because you only had to have 70% to get the good student discount. He got over 80 because he actually... Did you do the homework, or you just studied a little bit?
Studied a little bit.
How much homework did you do in grade 12?
None.
How much homework did I know you weren't doing in grade 12?
I didn't do homework at all through high school. I don't remember ever bringing anything home, except during exams.
Well, I am a good parent, but I don't pay much attention to you.
Nope.
So anyhow, we scare the boy. We tell him that that's on his record, and this and that, and so on. And then the police officer takes me off to the side. And he says, Mr. Hayden, I'd appreciate it if you'd go easy on the boy. You know, I got a son, and he's did some boneheaded, phenomenally stupid things too, and you should let him go to his party, and yeah, we'd appreciate it if you take it easy. Okay, so we're going to break in the conversation. We'll be back in a minute.